Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to lifeinnorcal.com's first official local news update. So excited and nervous at the same time for this, but I love keeping updated on what's happening in my community, so why not share that information with you? To make sure you're updated on the most recent news, like my Facebook page at Life in NorCal, or you can always log on to my website lifeinnorcal.com under the local news section. And let's talk about the Village at Loomis update, the referendum, and highlight some key things going on there. A community group named Loomis Citizens for Responsible Growth, they were successful in collecting the required 450 signatures. They collected actually a lot more than that, but those signatures were verified by the Placer County's elections office. Next step at the next town council meeting needs to decide whether they will A, repeal their vote to approve the ordinances put in place for the village development, or B, vote on a special election, which would allow the town residents to vote on the subject matter and give them a voice. I reached out to town manager Sean Rabe. He gave me some very rough estimated costs of what a special election is. Roughly it will cost anywhere between $31,500 and $45,000. Keep in mind when you're reading or hearing about anything regarding the village is several years ago the zoning was indeed intended for a walkable community, yes, and according to former council members, they had envisioned a unique development for that space. One council member had pointed out something similar to Santana Row with restaurant shops and coffee shops on the bottom and then 1 or 2 story apartments on the top, hence the allowable 3-story apartments in that area. So the current plan would indeed be the first urbanized development in the area. With that said, former town council member Miguel Yukovic said decisions about the village development is, quote, the most important decision in the history of the town of Loomis. There should be some important questions you should ask yourself. Can the town continue negotiations? Knowing Loomis, knowing the history, what kind of development would you like to see in that space? Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And I was able to sit down with District 3 Supervisor Jim Holmes. And for those of you who in Loomis that are outside the town limits who have expressed that you wish you'd be able to vote with regard to the town, Supervisor Jim Holmes is the person to go to. At the January 8th Town Council meeting, Supervisor Jim Holmes spoke under public comment on his thoughts regarding the Village at Loomis project. He wanted to let the community know that he has been fortunate to be a part of the Loomis community for the past 16 years. He wanted to convey that over the years he has seen how this community has changed. He said it's important to look back and see that, quote, change takes time, and if you take your time, change can be a good thing, end quote. Mr. Supervisor Holmes believes the town of Loomis has taken the time to develop the project for the community and thinks, quote, this is a good project for the future of Loomis. I asked Supervisor Holmes if he could explain how he thinks the Village at Loomis could help preserve and protect the agricultural heritage and rural beauty. He explained that the future residents of the Village at Loomis would be within walking distance to things like the Blue Goose to purchase locally grown produce. They would also contribute to the continued success of the Loomis Eggplant Festival, all of which support the agricultural heritage and the rural beauty. I was fortunate enough to connect with Councilman Duncan at the January 8th meeting. He was the only no vote with regard to the village development. So when I asked him about the referendum, he responded and said, I am disappointed that enough of our residents here in Loomis feel that their concerns regarding the village have been ignored or disregarded. I understand. One of the blessings of living in a democracy is that there are avenues that allow the people to be heard. In this instance, it is the referendum. I feel that we could have had a better project. It may have been as simple as actually having 3,500 square foot lots that did not include 400 square feet of alley space. The biggest problem that will impact Loomis will be the traffic that results from a higher density that cannot be accommodated even with infrastructure improvements. Councilman Duncan does believe that the town is close to a more agreeable project and he would like to see that on the table. So, we'll see what happens here. And I will be sure to post Councilman Jeff Duncan's full statement on my website. Also, a full summary review statement of my meeting with Supervisor Holmes and other links to resource information where my sources come from. So